Would you say most couples are walking through their life and their relationship unintentional?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then that is what leads to the conflict, confrontation, and ultimately divorce. Hopefully it doesn't get there, but
Yeah, it's interesting. So, I mean, what causes the conflict is the way that relationships work, which is we are, at least, in the Imago framework, we are unconsciously drawn to partners who represent both the positive and negative traits of the important people and caregivers in our lives growing up for the purpose of basically completing our childhood, right? Healing those wounds, coming back into wholeness, and feeling fully alive, right? That's the ultimate goal. But of course, those environments weren't always ideal. We always experience our parents and our families in both positive and negative ways. And so the conflict comes in when our partners stop feeling like a lover and start feeling like family. And then those same templates and those same dynamics that were present for us growing up start creeping in, and we naturally use the same defenses that we use growing up to protect ourselves and those adaptive strategies to try to keep us safe in the present tense, even though our partner isn't our family. Right? We're projecting those things onto them, and seeing things in them in a way that is that's skewed. It's not necessarily what's really going on or what's really there. So that's where the conflict comes from. But if you don't deal with the conflict with intentionality, that's where you start diverging and you're getting off and getting disconnected, which feels terrible, of course.
yeah, but so conflict is naturally going to arise in relationship.
yeah.
I mean, it's even in your relationship, right? You guys are both deep in the work. You're doing the work.
yeah.
Conflict is going to arise.
Yes.
But you guys have made a commitment to each other that in this house we will approach conflict
Yes.
intentionally.
Correct.
And then
Absolutely.
how do you then parlay that to your children?
Ooh, that's really good. I have dialogued with my kiddos. So when Steve and I first got into Imago, we were like, oh, this is amazing. This is awesome. We're going to use it with the kids. We tried to use it with the kids, and they sniffed that out a mile away. They were like, don't use that on me. I don't want that.
Yeah.
We are not mirroring. We're not doing it. But there are times when it has been really, really valuable. There was one time I remember where my son was really upset. He was just beside himself, and he was so angry. And I thought, I'm going to try it. And all I did was just mirror what he said. And I thought, he's going to sniff this out. Like this is going to make him even angrier, But I'm like, this is what I'm hearing. Am I getting you? Is there any more? What else is there? And he just kept telling me, and he got calmer and calmer and calmer. And I was like, oh my God, like this actually works, which I knew it did. I'd seen it work before, but to have it work with a kiddo who was just like absolutely totally dysregulated was pretty amazing. And we've used it recently too, where kids are teenagers now. And so, there are a lot of big feelings, there's a lot of, the natural differentiation, individuating, moving along, separating from the family unit. And so there's a little more conflict than we've had in the past. And, we've used it successfully there. And actually got a thank you from my daughter saying, thank you for approaching it in this way, because it actually felt really calm. It felt really safe. It didn't feel like anybody was trying to attack anybody. So I think using it with your kids is the most important thing, honestly.
Have you seen your kids use it with their peers?
I haven't seen it. That's an interesting question. But I would imagine, especially my daughter, she tends to be kind of like the in the friend group, like the group therapist.
Yeah.
And so I imagine that she's bringing some of that energy, maybe not exactly the skills, but I imagine because she's seen it, she's bringing some of that energy into her peer group. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I was reading some studies recently that talked a lot about how our kids do what they see, not what they're told. Mm-hmm. And so, like, if you said, hey, you need to mirror, hey, you need to mirror, hey, you need to mirror, they're like, yeah, okay, mom, like,
right.
I have a mirror, shut up, I got this,
Yeah,
right?
I got this.
But if they witness it, if they witness the communication between you and your significant other as mirroring, if they
Right.
witness you mirroring them, just through osmosis, I would imagine that they're mirroring in situations that they're in often.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with my kids, so we started with Imago in 2019. So that was 6 years ago. So they were already, around 10, maybe 8 and 10, when we started it. Excuse me. But my mentor, Michelle, she and her husband started their Imago journey years and years ago when their son was small.
Wow.
And so he from a very young age was exposed to Imago and mirroring and all of this stuff. And I have seen him use it, and I've heard him say, why don't other people do this? And she's told stories about him mirroring his friends and things like that. So I imagine that if my kiddos had been exposed to it more when they were in an earlier developmental stage, we'd probably see it more in them today.
What will be really interesting is they continue to grow up and maybe someday have families of their own. You as grandma or grandpa kind of sitting on the sidelines going like, that's mirroring, that's mirroring, that's mirroring. Like, well, they just booked an appointment. Like, here we go. This is awesome.
Yes.
Watching how they develop with that
Yes.
skill. Because it's ingrained in them now at this point. Whether they use it or not yet,
Right.
you have to imagine they will at some point.
It's in there somewhere. Yeah.